And then here in a second. You can just say got on that. And then it's
It's still in your glass.
So I don't know, I'm gonna keep them closed.
It's just as long as it's not your lunch. That's the truth.
Get kicked in the shin if that was the case.
So,
That's good.
Fix it.
But can we?
Okay,
You're,
are we good?
yes. You are live.
Okay, I think we're good. Okay, great. All right. Well, it's 8 o'clock, so that's good timing, a little after. All right, so I'd like to call the Ditch Committee meeting to order on Thursday, April 25th, 2024. And I appreciate everybody being here. So I'm sure we'll have a good discussion on what this all means. And I can go ahead and read the first agenda item. And that is the discussion regarding the financial assistance of application to the State Water Resources Control Board for the treated water main extensions to serve ditch domestics project.
I think Don wanted to have everybody introduce.
I was just gonna ask,
Oh,
do
okay.
you think a round of introductions, real brief?
I think that would be
Yeah,
great.
there's
Okay.
quite a contingency for one item. It's interesting to me, so just make sure everybody understands who's doing what role in this part.
It's a good idea.
Start with Cindy.
Okay.
Just doing the grant application and getting all the facts. You know, all the things we need to do to get there.
So you, the administrator of the grant, should we receive it as well? Okay.
I'm April in customer service, and I have interacted with the state as far as surveys and stuff that they require of us with the ditch domestic customers.
And for buyers, we're all our superintendent. Charges the dishes, the domestics, everything that goes with it.
Melissa Molly?
Executive assistant.
Eric, operations directors, oversee the water system and things. Eric Johnson, assist Cindy, making sure the grant application is complete. Just help her steward that through the process.
Antonio Ramirez, engineering customer service, working with Cindy also to help her prepare maps and make phone calls with some of these customers, kind of help figure out some of the logistics, how some of these projects might be completed, help calculate fees, things like that.
I'm done, general manager.
Ron Ringen, director.
Barbara Balin, director.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just interesting, this, one of the reasons I wanted April here is because she, as of late, this is more coincidentally, I don't think it really has anything to do with the thought of going after this grant, but coincidentally, the state, several months ago, maybe, late last year,
About mid last year.
midway through last year, reached out to us, and I think you remember this, you know, they were urging us to survey our ditch domestic. They had a different name for them, they called them ditch conveyance. They had a different name for that, but we refer to them as ditch domestic.
conveyance.
Customers?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Do you remember?
I don't.
It was, I finally had to, Ophelia, who we were working with, the state water board, was, is new to the department, is to the new district, the assembly division, and so her and I had to have a few conversations before I realized I understood where she was getting at. I told her we refer to them as ditch domestics, so people who have no other source of water for their use in their home other than raw water from our ditches. Okay, so the EPA, the feds, and the state are all would like for that situation to go away completely, but it's very difficult up here for how do we have about 60 of them? Are we under 60?
Ooh, more than that.
Oh.
Yeah. I would say probably 150. Well, probably less than 150 then. Yeah, somewhere between 125 and 150.
So there's a push, a new sort of push for all of us who have domestic, get them off ditching onto some sort of potable water source. So that was sort of incidental that happened, and April and her team did a lot of work pushing out the survey and collecting the survey and nudging people that were completing the survey, not getting the survey in time, and that took April and coordination with her. So anyway, that's the connection.
It was driven by EPA was pushing the state.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's hear about is there more questions on that
No.
for me? Okay. So do you want to explain the grant opportunity?
Yeah, it is through the DWR. They will include capacity fees, private laterals, anything we need on the private side, so it's not gonna be a cost to the customers to get these connections. And then they are covering all of our construction fees. So,
Would that include a backflow device?
yes.
Okay.
So,
But not ongoing.
not ongoing, no, just to get them connected to the water system.
Right.
So pay for the apparatus, the backflow apparatus, and the construction of the apparatus,
Right.
but the yearly or the regular
It's your,
is
It's
it
an annual test, yeah, and right now, the cost of the test is $65 per device each year.
Is that done in-house or is that done by a contractor?
So we've contracted with Hydroport and they have contracted with a local tester. And so it's a contract with a contract. And right now they've set the price at the 65.
That sounds pretty reasonable from what it was. I think it was higher than that before, wasn't it?
I think it was about $100.
Yeah.
Give or take, yeah. Are we still doing initials?
Sorry? Yes, we are, yeah. Upon
Oh, so we
installation.
perform the initial
Yeah,
for no fee?
For no fee.
Okay.
We do inspection and test.
So who pays for that, the 65?
So when we do it in-house, we don't get charged for that. We do have a tester on staff, and so we don't actually have to pay
Okay,
any tester to do it.
okay, and the property owner or the person that gets now both services, they don't pay?
Not for the initial test, but the ongoing test, the annual test, does get applied to their account. This year is the first year we've been able to add it to their account as a billing item that would spread it across the full year. Previously, we were charging them, adding a charge of $65 once per year. And so we found that it would just be easier to spread it across the year.
Okay,
That's pretty cool.
and then, how much, do you know, just offhand, don't wanna put you on the spot, how much bottled water that they really currently have to purchase? I mean, I'm just looking at offsets for the customer.
Yeah, so the minimal expectation is 5 gallons a month. We get a quarterly
Okay.
report from Mountain Oasis, and so minimally when we get our quarterly report, we wanna see 15 or more gallons per customer.
So there'll be savings there for them, the customer, they won't have to buy it.
They would no longer have to continue their Mountain Oasis contract of minimally 5 gallons a month.
Okay, I don't know if I heard you right, they have to report to you how much bottled water they buy.
Yeah, so Mountain Oasis does keep a report with their customers. They know which of the customers are our domestic customers. And so Mountain Oasis does send us that report
Oh,
quarterly.
Mountain Oasis does, okay, now do we contract with them on that?
It's not that we contract, but it's how it was written up.
Yeah,
That was the only way that we could track it, so if you were gonna go get your water at Save Mart, right, it's
Yeah.
expensive, there's no way to have the tracking and proof you did it, so it was written up that everybody has to go through Mountain Oasis.
that was like the approved local provider way back when.
Yeah.
And we just kept it with them.
Okay, and they may still wanna have bottled water, it's up to them, they may wanna have 3 sources.
Yeah, they might keep that bottled water contract with Mountain Oasis, but we wouldn't require that they do, and we would continue to get the report of their purchases.
So that was one of the questions that I was gonna bring up during this meeting, but you guys got there right away. How long has that been going on with Mountain Oasis?
Oh, well before my time.
Yeah, since the beginning.
Did we inherit this from
No, this came, I believe it came a little bit after,
after the merger?
after the merger, but it's been in place
For all of our time, apparently.
Since like the original contract, I wanna say it was written about domestic use. It referred to Mountain Oasis.
Okay, so how much faith can we have on the fact that that information is accurate coming from Mountain Oasis? Oh, okay, let me
So they're
just
tracking.
cut to the quick here. So having done as many home inspections so on throughout the years up here, I was looking at the maps and I'm going, oh my God, I remember that house up, on the ditch, and oh my God, look at this. And I remember doing one in particular. It was a young couple with I can't remember, they had 1 or 2 children, but they were toddlers, I mean babies. And I won't get into gory details, but as I started to do this inspection, well, before I couldn't do it because they had not gotten any written okay from the landlord. And I thought they owned it, but they didn't. They were buying it from, they were renters, but buying it from the landlord. So anyway, I said, well, I can't touch this place until I've got an okay from the owner. And I said, you don't have that, so, but I'll just walk around real quick and just, if I see anything that stands out, I'll mention it and then goodbye. Well, as I'm going around the house, I go, what is all of that hanging off the side of the wall? He said, oh, that's a,
Water treatment plant?
their water treatment plant. It was the filter system. And I said, you've got ditch water coming in here? Is that the deal? Oh yeah, the ditch is right up there and this is over there and so that I couldn't get out of there quick enough. So I guess what I'm saying is I didn't see any bottled water in that house. I mean, wasn't looking for it either, but how do you know that the landlord isn't taking the water and letting the renters just fend for themselves?
Well, so this past year, the end of this year, of 23, we did send out surveys to the actual ditch domestic customers. If it's a situation with a landlord and a tenant, we do reach out to whoever's active account we have at that address. Most of the time, if there's a tenant there, the tenant is the one that gets the bill and pays it, so we reached out to them. If it's still under the name of the owner, we sent the survey directly to the owner. And so basically between the data that we're getting from Mountain Oasis, that they're collecting bottled water as frequently as they should, and now this survey where we are specifically making contact with the active account that we have, I feel pretty confident that we're touching base on both sides. They know that they're supposed to get water, and they've signed the survey saying that they are getting water, and they know why they're getting water, and that they're not ingesting or doing anything they're not supposed to with
Okay.
fish water.
Well, I just thought I'd bring that up because that was something that's been concerning me for years and, it just seemed like this was a perfect time to finally bring it up.
Yeah.
Well, and Ron, I think you've mentioned this before also, is the water quality is not being maintained all the way down the line. So that, I think the larger issue here over the years has been water quality in our raw water system. And, I think that's a bigger conversation as well.
Right.
Overall,
Exactly.
making sure that these people get as good a water quality as the people above the treatment plants. I have a question, State Water Resource Control Board probably has this situation up and down the mountains, right, because of the raw water. Are anybody familiar with that, them having to deal with other ditch domestics in other counties? Just as some background.
Yeah, I do not know that CCWD does or any, I don't know of another agency that does. There must be, but I just am not familiar with it.
Yeah, because of there's raw water systems.
Just like
throughout.
ours.
Yeah, and it's not, just for ag, so that would be interesting, so, cause I can't imagine State Water Resource Control Board just putting pressure on us.
Right,
They have a whole program, I'm
I
sure.
think it's statewide.
Statewide,
They reached out, State Water Board staff ironically reached out a couple of years ago and said, hey, you guys have a compliance agreement for all your ditch domestics, and we would like to use that template with some ditch domestics. They use a different term again in Imperial County. So I know that they have them in Imperial County, but I've never heard in EID, NID, PCWA, CCWD, or Amador. I haven't heard of that. That's something we could ask CCWD about when we meet with them next time.
Yeah.
Just to get context.
So with our policies, it's kind of a combination of, even though perhaps some of these people might have reached out requesting an extension, or it sounds like, to me, it's the state that is driving this.
I wouldn't characterize it quite that way. The state, other than the audit that April had to deal with to maintain compliance with the 2002 agreement that we have with the state, they are not in active enforcement mode at all. They know we have these. They reach out very rarely. This was kind of a surprise when they reached out and said, hey, we'd like you to do this audit and this survey and everything. It basically, that 2002 agreement just says, if the property changes ownership and potable water becomes available and is feasible, it's very loose language, they should connect. But other than that, their concern is that we collect the proof that they're getting bottled water and that they know that they're not supposed to use it for consumptive purposes in the house. That's about it.
So, but it seems like they're really serious about it this time. And it's not necessarily DWR, but they're being pushed by EPA, correct? That's what you said? So, they don't want those people on that.
Oh, no, they don't. They just, I think that they realize it's such a difficult, big problem. We're addressing 23 connections out of like 130. That they've grandfathered in these properties just for lack of an economical solution, but they definitely want them off.
So what's EPA's angle?
Health. It's just health.
I mean,
Health and safety.
it's just interesting to me, I mean, just living in this county basically forever, I'm just trying to get some background on what really, they are legal. These treatment systems, they are legal. They're modified treatment systems, the home treatment systems. And people are not getting sick, or are they getting sick? I mean,
Well, I can kind of answer that for you. On another house, whatever, oh my God, it was here. I saw in the garage 2 canisters by a local water, I don't know what you want to call them, but treatment professional. And so anyway, I took some pictures of it, which I would normally do anyways, because it's part of the home inspection for the protection either the person selling it so they don't get sued, or for the person buying it so that they know what they're buying. And I brought it back and I showed it to, I won't name names, but somebody here at TUD, and said, you know, they claim this is more than adequate, just as good as TUD treatment. What's your opinion? And it was like, no way close. And yet it was being sold as being, you know, perfectly good treated water that was being provided into that house. And once again, it comes back to how well it's gonna be maintained, because 2 small canisters with whatever they do, you know, whatever's added, has to be done at the proper periods of time. And the water that was getting to those canisters was from 1 or 2 tanks up on the hill, quite a distance from the house. So you've got all that pipeline you have to worry about. You have the tanks themselves, the condition that they're in, and what's going on inside of them. So I would say that the water getting to the ditch domestics is, and I'm not a water treatment person, but this is just from my experience of being out there in the field looking at this stuff, is probably questionable.
Well, we're not debating that, and I think that that is part of the problem, is that water quality is an issue. And I think TUD is responsible for that water quality, making sure it's whatever policies are enforced on that. So, I mean, I appreciate what you're saying. I'm just I would like to get to what is driving us to do this. This is, you know, this is gonna involve at least some, obviously, staff's time here for this. And I'm just looking at, are these people, are they complaining? Are they getting sick? Is there a new regulation? What? And I'm not debating the water quality. I am a ditch customer, and water is less than, you know, acceptable, and I'm further down the line, but I wanna know what more or less is driving this, and it sounds like the state wants proof in this audit that people are buying bottled water. Okay, and they are buying water. And so you come up with is it the Alhambra, the Oasis people, and they go, yes, they are buying water. Okay, so that takes care of that. So then and they have these people approached? I'm not against getting these guys water. I just wanna know,
on back to Ron's thing about treatment systems, I totally agree with you, Ron, but your question, I think, was, they're legal, is what you were saying, and I'm not sure they are entirely legal.
I asked Ophelia that very question, and she's adamant they are not legal, and furthermore, even if they were, they need to be operated by a certified water treatment plant operator.
Right.
So, sorry, in one of my conversations I had with Ophelia, it was very similar to that, and she actually asked that I include on the survey that we sent to our customers the question of if they do have some type of at-home treatment situation, if they could describe it on the survey. And she explained that to me, that if they ever were to review the surveys, they would want to know, you know, typically what are these customers using? What do the customers think is sufficient compared to what actually is sufficient? And so many of the customers were able to fill out what they use. But Ophelia kind of explained, you know, treating surface water would be different than treating groundwater, like a well. And many people use the same types of things that people use for wells. So, I mean, that's as far as I understood, was technically there is nothing that the state has said, okay, yes, this type of at-home treatment is sufficient for groundwater of this type. So
do you see that coming, where the state actually comes out and says these systems are no longer legal?
I don't really know what the state.
It just seems
is
like a
going
gray,
to do.
a
You know,
gray area.
Well, you know, I am an expert in water treatment. I got it down pat. I guarantee you that's not safe water to drink. I just guarantee it. Now, are people getting sick? I guess some people have better immune systems than others. Some people have weaker immune systems than others. They probably do get sick. They go to the hospital, get some antibiotics, and they go home. I know it's serious. The cleanest water we have up at Lakewood, you know, coming off of, you know, the main canal is pretty clean from a turbidity standpoint, but from a virus standpoint and a cryptosporidium, and no, it's not clean. You cannot see these things.
A few years ago, we had, and I think it was on Sawmill Flat Road, we had a group of ditch domestics request an extension. And they were there, we had our little groundbreaking, and they were very happy. You remember that?
I do.
And they thanked us because they had approached the district. So, but there's also and those are people that said, we want to be on the line, water is not safe, we want to put on the line. And then there are other people in this county that just want people to leave them alone. They want their own setup, they don't wanna be bugged, they're independent, they're, you know, they wanna be left alone. So I wanna respect those people. It is their decision, their health, so to speak, and they're out there. And so, I think TD's made enormous strides to, not have those people trade in their systems. So what if we have a situation in these where they don't want the treated water? We don't give it to them, right? Excuse me.
Yeah, so I started making, prior to just going to the board, I started making phone calls to people to gauge interest, because you got a list of people that adamantly don't want to participate. Maybe you don't go to the board, but for the most part, I would say most everybody was enthusiastic, ecstatic, many of them. Some of these are people like on the Route Lane where they were hoping this would have happened decades ago. And so I think for the most part, most people, I think only about 2 people didn't want to participate. I wouldn't say they didn't want to participate, but they had other complaints. So this TUD in general, or I think one person we switched from MID to metered, they didn't like that. You know, so they're, you know, for the most part, everyone's pretty excited. About half of them are fairly elderly people, so they were the most excited about it. They've been living with it the longest, and, you know, so I would say generally of the projects, most people want to participate. I had like one person, I think on Pulpit Rock, they were drilling a well because they wanted to get off the ditch. So there's, you know, not a lot of people, a lot of them want to keep the ditch for irrigation purposes, but definitely a lot of them would love the opportunity. Financially, I think that's the hard part. You know, for some people, there may be a huge benefit. You know, we may be, you know, offering to participate and get funding for $50,000 to get them water, but if they need to pony up $3,000 or $1,000 and they don't have it to make it work, then they can't do it, right? So I think the grant that we're trying to get makes it attractive for most everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
So one of the things that I've wondered about for some time, and I've heard this from not just one, but several ditch customers that maybe aren't even ditch domestics, you know. Why is it that the water quality in the ditch is so different from, I mean, as you get further up the hill, I totally get it, that's better water. You're closer to the source, so to speak. But why is some areas so much worse than others? I mean, I know there's one spot, and I think you're served on it, but matter of fact, I'm pretty darn sure you're served on it. But above where you're at is the source is known where the crappy water's coming from, and it's I think it's referred to as a hog farm. Why has that not been taken care of? What's the problem with that? Why doesn't the hammer come down on those people that own that property?
So we're working with the county and the state right now on There's an ongoing
Well,
investigation.
first of all, it's called the pig farm, and it's a legacy name, right?
Yeah.
And there is, right, you just took me there last year and the year before, there isn't an active pig farm there. Just know that it maybe was at one time, like beer drinkers. I'm assuming that's a place where people go drink beer, but, you know, I don't know if there's people, you go there to drink beer. So we have these funny legacy
That
names.
sounds better than
I know, I wanna get rid of
my
these,
vision of-
I wanna get rid of these dumb names personally, because I don't know where beer drinkers is, but you're probably pointing to some road and I can get there. So it's beer drinkers, I mean, it's a big farm.
Oh, boy. Water quality's really good.
Yeah, well, because I had the same imagination, I said, we have a ditch running to a big farm. You know better than this, you know, anyway, we don't. But the water quality begins to deteriorate above that, where people are, and there's an active investigation going on at the Mormon Creek, Highway 49 and Mormon Creek.
So below it, it's below the pig farm.
It's below the big farm, okay. Okay,
So is Fish and Wildlife involved?
We don't know if we give it to the county, because it's out of the district's jurisdiction. Because it's a blue line, it's Mormon Creek,
It's the creek?
it's the creek. We put water into the creek, and then we take it out at the slum dam for the Tin Mile. So,
Well, wait a minute. Mormon Creek is below Slum Dam.
well, because the ditch water runs into a California blue line, it's a
At-
drainage,
Okay, so when it's still Shaw's Flat,
yes,
it goes into a random.
which is considered a California blue.
That's a blue line, okay. Yeah, it's the random that goes to Slum Dam.
Yeah, so that's out of TUD's jurisdiction. So that involves Fish and Wildlife
Okay.
and the county,
So randoms are basically taken out of our jurisdiction.
yes. We
Okay.
cannot do anything in it.
Oh, that's news. Okay.
Yeah.
So you turned it over to the county.
so, I don't get too far off topic, but again, Ophelia Romero, she's brand new, about a year plus now. She sent an email to me or us about a complaint, a customer, a TUD customer, or just a
Just a person
a person on Morgan Creek who's complaining about their neighbor upstream polluting what they referred to as Shaw's Flat Ditch, I think, or O'Neill Ditch. So incorrectly referred to it as O'Neill Ditch. So we squared away Ophelia and the neighbor who made lodged a complaint. Eric has been telling me about this complaint for years. We have tried to go out there and talk with these neighbors and these people and tell them to clean up their mess. And, you know, again, it just isn't our jurisdiction and had no success in that. Eric previously and now Kurt have reached out to California Fish and Wildlife to see what they can do. Their, generic response to both of you over the years has been, unless you can actually catch them dumping oil or any other thing into the creek, we can't do anything. So they've both been out there over the years to try to catch this and haven't seen it happen. But yet, here recently, the neighbors are complaining again. So this got sent to the State Water Board, Ophelia, and there's a whole lot of people involved now. We're here to support them in any way we can, but it's really between the county, environmental health, and Fish and Wildlife, it's theirs, and then State Water Board.
Our system is so complicated. I don't know how you guys keep up with it. I mean, do you have little signs? It starts here, stops there, starts here, stops there.
So, yeah, I mean, and Don, I beg to differ. I think that the water quality issue is really underlying this whole thing, because if the water quality in combination with ditch domestics is making for a bad situation, hence we want to get some people off of it, at least 23 customers. So I think the water quality discussion is part of what's driving all this, and the fact that TUD does not have any authority to enforce anything, and maybe there's nothing to enforce. Maybe do we not have any policies regarding water conveyance? Do you know?
Yeah, so because it's considered raw water, there's not a cleanliness standard on it. It's not a guaranteed delivery because it's raw water. It's out in the elements. It's not enclosed in a pipe.
It's susceptible to urban water runoff. I mean, when it rains, if it's near a paved road, oily water can get into the ditch either through a random or right directly into the ditch. It's susceptible to just water runoff from the leach field. I mean, it's susceptible, and so yeah. Again, being a water treatment expert, the purest water we have that's least susceptible to those things I just mentioned still have plenty of enough viruses and protozoa that are harmful.
So,
in clean
right.
water.
And like you're saying, that it's the biggest stormwater diverter we have in this county.
Yes.
And so it's about time the county gets involved, because the water quality, we discussed this with Phoenix, we manage the water, but yet we also have ratepayers that are responsible, and yet things are not in our jurisdiction, so we have no authority to enforce whatever's out there. So I hope the state is engaged and that the county is engaged. So the county is engaged
Yes.
in water quality. Okay, because it's only been, I think, in the last, under a decade, that water's just now mugged.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think even though this may be off subject or whatever, I find the water quality issue really important to us, because evidently, it comes out of the ratepayer's pocket for treatment costs and maintenance, et cetera. So I think it's important to address it wherever we can with our partners, because they're part of the problem.
Exactly. No, right.
And we have to clean it up. We
Water
have to
treatment
pay.
101 is protect your source.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead.
I agree that this discussion is slightly off the agenda item, but I think it's right on the agenda item in the fact that that's why we're discussing that agenda item, is trying to correct the water quality for the people on the ditch. So I'm gonna make this statement, even though it's off the agenda item slightly. When I watched the Parshall flume get installed up there at the Columbia Divide, there was a big discussion at that time about water quality coming into the divide. And this is where it's gonna get tricky with what we're talking about, is water quality and how that was all by animals. I think it was sheep or something up there that were on a piece of property. And that's what was contaminating, sheep and cattle, I think it was contaminating that water coming into the Columbia Divide, which then goes two ways, either out towards the Columbia College or to whatever they call that ditch, I can't remember right now. Yeah, and then the other one goes to Matlow first. That's one direction, but the other side goes towards Columbia. So I think that's a biggie, and that needs to be addressed.
It seems like non-point sediment sources are in a category where you just sort of say, we know it's coming from this area in this watershed. We can't really pinpoint it, but sediment is coming in, whether it's county. And so it just seems to me that this is, in a way, the same. The water quality is deteriorating in this stretch. What can the county do about it? And what kind of grants can they do about it with the random? I will check the water quality as it goes into Slumdown, just to compare. But it sounds like you've pinpointed, you've backtracked it down to this particular area.
So Kurt did a bunch of
And we
water
did
quality.
Trinity last year.
Yeah.
And the Union Hill water and the water near your house was the same for Trinity.
Mhm.
And then, when you're talking about water quality, there's standards, secondary standards, and there's primary standards, and there's like you guys know that even up in Lakewood, the water quality you're talking about, the organisms that can make you sick are gonna be throughout the whole system, no matter what you do. So that's when the state talks about water quality, and we're treating the water, that's what we're taking out of the water, those things that cause you to get sick. So, but I think you guys want to start talking about down low is turbidity,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
which is two different, I mean, it is part of water quality, but turbidity, at the treatment plants, we deal with that, and that's what we're taking out of the water.
I was talking about both though, because what was above the
But if you're talking
Columbia
about this,
Divide is not necessarily wasn't necessarily turbidity, it was pathogens.
yeah, so when the state comes in, they're worried about people drinking the water. It is a microorganism that's the stuff that's gonna make you sick.
Yeah, so how do you I don't know if you remember way back in the mid-2000s, I was talking about, the long-term LT2 and LT1, right? That was addressing these protozoas, Cryptosporidium, right? Where was this Cryptosporidium coming from? And up in Canada and Chicago in the 90s, lots of people got sick and died because of this outbreak. So anyways, everybody in the state of California had to do a source water monitoring for Cryptosporidium, right? And we found Cryptosporidium all over the place. And so where's that coming from, right? What we found is it comes from all sorts of people, people and other animals. So like you said, cows up in Phoenix Lake that are able to walk into the lake. That's a true statement, right? There's cattle.
I think the cows are gone now.
But in 2015
Yes, they
or
were,
so, there were cattle actually walking into the lake and going to the bathroom, and there's plenty of Cryptosporidium in there. And turkeys have Cryptosporidium, geese have Cryptosporidium. So this is everywhere, right? So.
well, there's grazing around lions too.
Is there? And can they get right to the lake?
Not to, yes,
I've never
they,
seen
but
one.
they can get to the river.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the upstream, there's Rushing, I think, they have cattle up in there, at least these two.
Yeah, so you're right, the animals do contribute to the challenges we have, which just makes me nervous. I have a friend who's a just domestic off the Matlow. And he's a second generation person who owns this house, and they love the water. Yes, they drink it, and you're not gonna tell me otherwise, it's not, because he looks like a healthy young man, but I'm just saying, okay, Brad, but I'm just telling you, there's stuff in there you shouldn't be drinking. Well, I'm drinking it. Okay, you do it, Brad.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting how we treat our water in our watershed compared to like Hetch Hetchy, that they have no body contact, no motorized boating, no nothing. They save billions of dollars there at O'Shaughnessy, and they luckily had no fires for the siltation and contamination in that, and yet we have motorized boating. You know darn well that diapers are changed, underwater, in Pinecrest, something. They're floating off, and so that's our drinking water too. So, anyway, larger discussion, I get it, but, I'm really grateful for this discussion, because I would rather have it in committee informally, where we can just go back and forth, than having a board meeting discussing some of this. It's really good background.
Yeah.
And, thank you, Antonio, for talking about your sensing of the community, because this is gonna be an expense. They're gonna have a TUD treated water bill, which now, as we know, are not as low as they were, plus they continue to keep their ditch water, and that went up. As well as they may still want bottled water after drinking TUD water. Some people choose that too, so it is gonna be an additional cost to them.
I think we have letters prepared to go out to people, if the board is supportive. We didn't want to send anything out unless the board is supportive, that address billing rates and things like that, so that people know to ask those questions and what's coming to.
And it would be their choice to keep the ditch connection for irrigation, and have both bills, or just we just did one that, he got rid of his ditch connection, in trade for having the treated connection, one bill, so.
Yeah, what, does he have acreage?
I think he
Kurt
does,
said
but it's
yes.
unmaintained.
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
That one, he said it's all hillside.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
Never
not
gonna-
landscaped
yeah.
at all,
It's all
Upper
trees.
elevation.
right?
Yeah.
Bare bone,
His
pine trees.
connection was strictly domestic
mhm,
to start with, and so when he had the option to connect for treated, it wouldn't have made sense for him to keep it for irrigation.
I talk about that to people, I look at their property, and they got half an acre, I don't pose a lot of questions to them, but if they've got 5 acres, I'm like, you sure,
Yeah.
you know, so.
Yeah.
It could
Try not
benefit
to,
to
you know.
keep it for irrigation, yeah.
Yeah, you're really seeing now the diehards on the ditch because, unless you put in a high value crop to offset it, traditional crops, just like raising cattle, it's hard to break even with the cost of big irrigation water. So you've got to put in a real high value crop, I would think, like citrus or something to make it pay off. But, okay, so you wanna go into this? I mean, I feel like this has been a value.
So does somebody want to start, do you want to hear about each of the projects or?
Yeah, I would.
Over in
Mhm.
I'll start with April helped me generate a list of all the ditch domestics. We were able to get that, basically put into a map form so we could see all the different properties to try and figure out, okay, which ones are viable. And we sort of, as a group, sort of narrowed it down to 11 different projects, some of which have multiple customers on them. So that's how we kind of ended up with this larger map. Some of them, like LaRue, they're big projects, but they're long-standing kind of big issues for people, so and you'll see a variety of them, projects. Some are main lines, there's already a meter in front, things like that, so. I guess we'll start with project when we just go through it, I know, Eric?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So project 1, this was Chicken Ranch Road. This is below the casino. There wasn't previously a water main there, but the Chicken Ranch tribe put that water main in, quite some time ago. I don't know if I recall talking to this person, I have to look at the name here. I think I have talked to them actually in the past. So this is essentially just digging up the water main, hot tapping it, putting a 1-inch service lateral, fairly straightforward. This customer, let's see what he's saying, he's interested, is what I said.
Hang on.
Yep.
So where does the water terminate right now? Where does our treated water terminate?
It's just a water main in Chicken Ranch in front of his house. in Chicken
So it's
Ranch.
already existing?
It's already existing.
It's already existing, so in other words, we're not putting it in?
We're just putting a service lateral in. So
Okay,
we'll have to dig up the main, hot tap it, and run a 1-inch line across the road to his property line.
okay, so we don't have to discuss that, this is already in, the question of growth inducement down here by extending it, we're just creating connections.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep, and the ditches in that map you'll see is on the upper end of his property.
and tribal land doesn't start on here yet.
Right, yes.
Okay,
Okay, so project 2, this one would be a water main extension, about 1,500 feet or so. One of the ditch domestics in here drilled a well. I don't know if it's one of the, can't remember now, but I think we still ended up with 4 here that we were looking to serve. I think 2 of the people was like a mother and son or something like that. He owns one, she owns the other. And again, I think these were all fairly supportive. Actually, 9861, whoever that is the person drilling the well. So I don't know if that's one of the 4 or not.
so I have a question here.
Sure.
Is this the ditch, this line?
The purple line is the ditch, yes.
Okay, so these people's lines come down from there.
Yeah, looks
Okay, 'cause
like
that would have been helpful to show those, but maybe you don't really know how they come
So
down.
Yeah, we,
Mhm.
Yeah,
because we didn't install,
right.
they did, yeah, they did.
You got you, so mysteriously, it starts from up here and it arrives down here, okay.
Yeah. I usually tell people, back then, people were pretty practical, and it's probably about as straight line as you possibly can, or it's going around some sort of rock or something, so it's, but you never know.
Okay, so this is 4 connections, am I looking at?
I think it may end up being 3 in the end,
B3 in the end,
but I don't know, because I think after I did this, I found out there is a person that had drilled a well.
Okay, and the highlighted in yellow, are those the respective parcels?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for helping me interpret this. I think some other folks here got off the system years and years ago under Jim McCullough. Okay,
Railbed Road.
Railbed.
Yes,
Mhm.
Yeah, and others may have, I think someone else along the alignment, the red part, I think someone else had drilled the well. I think I might have called someone else, talked to someone else on it, I remember someone else along that road, the red part had drilled the well. Now, there's potential in a main line like this that other people, there's at least 4 other properties that might, well, even these other ones on the south side, you could have maybe 8 people connect to it eventually, because they're all, the people along the red line there, which is the main, that aren't ditch domestics are presumably on wells, so you may end up getting connections from those someday, but,
So we're gonna extend this line, how many feet?
about 1,500 feet.
1,500. Wow. So, so what are the growth inducement potentials for doing that in this area? Like, can a developer that wants to develop around 108 come up and look into this?
Pretty built out down there already.
Okay,
Well, it's built out down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is heading towards Table Mountain, so, you're pretty limited.
yeah.
As far as
Uh,
pressure and just growth, you're not gonna build on Table Mountain, I don't think.
So this little green box, Eric Pressures at residences,
Yeah, there's a note for me, I think, into it.
Oh, okay.
So we knew if we needed to put a pressure reducing valve.
okay, gotcha.
There's another thing not shown here is a fire hydrant. We believe the grant will fund that if we call it a blow off hydrant because it's needed to flush the line, so it's an operational
Mhm.
need. And so that would improve fire protection in the area.
As long as we have power.
This is a gravity fed system.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Good, gravity fed treated,
Yes.
okay. Any ditch, fire water draft points in this area?
I'm working on that. I was working on that before this meeting. So
Oh,
right in here, no, down the road, like towards Chicken Ranch where it's in the pipe, where it's got good pressure,
yeah,
definitely down here.
That's-
In here is a little bit rough.
that's great, yeah, okay. Any questions, Ron?
No,
Okay,
it's pretty straightforward to me.
And most of these are gonna have fire hydrants on it.
Yeah, it's okay.
You just don't show it. Yeah.
Looks like that.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
So LaRue Lane, again, the red is, a water main extension, looks like it's about 2,200 feet. You have, under 5 people, looks like, all very, very interested. I think maybe one person I haven't talked to yet, but for the most part, this is where I was telling you, people were really ecstatic. So you had more in this area, but, I think a couple of people ended up drilling wells. So we have less than we had when this project came about, long before I got here. So.
Just a couple of things to add on to this. This line could have future potential value to the district to loop back down Jamestown Road to get water into the racetrack estates area. So it would help our distribution system. And then also, there's been septic system failures. I don't know if these particular properties been in this area before. So having potable water, although people drilled wells, could be really good because if there are septic system failures, it makes it more challenging for them to find a place to drill a well because they need to have a replacement area for their leach field.
What would have been helpful on this is that, putting the actual ditch system on this as well. I mean, I see the raw water pipe, but when I'm looking at where the ditch flows, because it does, I think above the wording, Project 3, it comes in and it goes kind of parallels Mount Brow, I think.
No, comes across Shaw's Flat Road.
Yeah, it comes across Shaw's Flat.
There's the.
Well, this has 12-inch pipeline, raw water line, is that exposed ditch up there?
No, that is all in the pipeline.
Oh, yeah, okay,
That's
so,
the old feeder for the Gibbs water treatment. For Gibbs water.
okay, so the raw waters, let's say, just say north of here, right? The actual random, goes
Yes.
through Costello on
Correct.
Mount Brow, and it
Yes.
crosses under
Yeah.
Shaw's Flat, et cetera, okay. So this, all right, so again, I'm gonna be concerned, some of the questions that people wanted, I get that. They're served by gravity down from this pipeline? Because there's no topos on there, so I'm just guessing.
Yes.
Okay. And these 1, 2, again, in yellow, those are the ones that are gonna be served by treated water now. Okay. Are these other people, on raw water customers also, but they have wells and whatnot?
Yeah, all the purple Ds are ditch customers. The ones that say domestic are the domestics.
Okay.
So every now and then there's an error, but for the most part, that's the case.
Okay, so, and again, my concern also for growth inducement is when we incrementally pay for piping closer to where, there's nothing wrong with it, but whenever possible, I want the developer, not a ratepayers or however the developer can get the money to actually pay for capacity enhancements on this. So Eric, when you talk about it looping, could you give us a little more detail on how that would benefit the district?
Well, right now, and what you can't see up to the south of this is, well, you know where Gibbs Estates is in Racetrack. And they're currently fed from a single feed line that is pumped up to the top of the Cuesta Heights, we call it the Shaw's Flat tank now. And then it gravities out of that and comes through a single feed into that area. And there's like probably 1,400 homes or 1,400. Yeah, there's quite a few people there. So if there was any failure in the pumping system or the pipelines, the only storage we have currently that can backfeed is the 126. It's a small tank, it's all we need to say. And that even has to get pumped up. So by having another way to bring gravity into part of that area, it can't serve the entire area, would increase the reliability of the system and give us more operational flexibility. As far as like growth inducement is concerned and making sure that developers pay, this pipeline would stop here. I don't think we have any plans to extend this line with ratepayer funds. It's just that if there was ever a development, the developer would fund that extension and we would request that it come down and tie back in to the system, which also improves the hydraulics for fire protection so that we'll get better fire flow throughout the area by having a looped line.
And is the LAFCO line Jamestown Road
For
for the extent of growth?
sphere of influence?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely is nowhere in this project area. It's somewhere near Jamestown Road, but near Valley Vista, right? Because that was sort of,
Wigwam and.
yeah, so it's nowhere near this project area.
This is within our sphere of influence and within the district's boundary. It would be an extension of our service area boundary, but that doesn't require LAFCO approval. It's when we start talking about changes of sphere of influence that we need to engage at LAFCO.
The reason that I'm mentioning it is because on the Tuolumne County Land Trust, the acquisition of Ratto Ranch, which is a little bit further down here, the Ratto family, I could be misremembering this, but they were very concerned about developments jumping the Jamestown Road. Because I faintly remember that was sort of the sphere of influence. So the rural on this side of it and then the development on the other side. And so I don't know if that's still current or anything like that, but everybody's looking for an angle to jump over the line and start carving it up. But that was one of the reasons why they wanted their area conserved in trust, because it's just an enormous wildlife value, because it ties right down into Mormon Creek on the other side of Tail Mountain, et cetera. I mean, it's a big cat country as well, so, I'm just looking at where now it's stepped out, because, that's what people look at when they look at areas to purchase and divide, so,
And I wonder what the zoning is like too. That would be another
That
thing
might
to
have been,
look
that's what
at,
I was thinking.
is what the general plan.
I will say that at the intersection of Ratto and Jamestown Roads, south of that, there was a fairly recent, is that me?
or is that me?
My phone's.
Sorry about that.
I gotta turn on, my sisters are sending baby pictures.
Nice.
Yeah, so competing grandbabies. But south of Ratto was parcelized already, those parcels are kind of coming up for sale. So, and on the north side, I'm forgetting his name, he's a contractor, but he's developed his property with big shop and big house and everything. So that area, which is basically actually almost directly across the street, is kind of already sort of developed. Maybe up here near Mount Brown, there's, some big flat properties and maybe they could do something with it someday, but.
But how far does, I'm sorry, Ron.
The Lily Adele property basically is what I'm talking about, is on the east side of Jamestown, it's already been parcelized, and so it's unlikely to get.
Right, it has been parcelized.
Yeah, and there's water already there.
Okay, can you, what's the extent of TUD's sphere of influence?
That's where I was gonna go.
Okay,
This
thank
is
you.
in the sphere of influence, it's huge. And matter of fact, it's on one of the sheets that came from, what was that? Oh, LAFCO. The, something that had to do with LAFCO shows the
The MSR?
for the next agenda item, there's a map of the sphere of influence. I was shocked at the size of TUD's sphere of influence, so that this had to have been for zoning from the county that Rattle Ranch and those people were hoping it would not get changed. This is probably for open space, agriculture, that sort of thing. And they didn't want to change to development type stuff. So, but this is well within TUD's sphere of influence.
Just one more question, are there any other ditch domestics in here besides the ones highlighted in yellow, again, that could be,
No.
all right. All right,
Quick question, the ones that are not ditch domestics, but they have ditch connections, assuming they have wells, I mean, if someone were to choose to have a well, a ditch connection and treated, I mean, that opens up the potential for those customers, right?
Yeah, I mean, people can choose to do,
Someone who wanted to connect to treated, they always could.
Weren't there some well failures in that area during the last drought?
I think there were some well
Yeah.
failures.
you're right, actually, yeah.
I don't remember which ones though.
so April, what you're saying is, the door's open for well owners to, hook on at a
Right,
later
I would
date.
imagine, yeah, if they wanted to, so we're particularly talking about these 5 domestics for this, but I mean, having the line run right through or past so many properties, I would imagine there may be some people interested in connecting to treated.
It's a good point, Shaw's Flat area is, the triangle is not a great place for wells. Water quality and quantity, both, from what I've learned, so.
Yeah, it's all limestone, so there's kind of perched aquifers under there, and, there's no table except, whatever the limestone provides.
So I think you're right, I think there's a chance we'll probably get more connections.
Just potential
go.
at least.
Okay, can we go to number 4? So number 4 is, we're thinking this to be not a large main, but just a 2-inch water line of about 150 feet to get to one ditch domestic. You can't, I don't know where this guy pulls from. There is a pipeline that comes down Chaparral, but I don't think they're connected to that. right? It's like a really long line.
Your four looks different than my four.
This is my own personal.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
we're
looking
on
at-
Chilo Vista,
Oh.
which is downstream of the Sonora, I think we're on Chilo.
I'm on
Silo Vista.
Silo Vista?
Silo, excuse me, thank you.
I'm just gonna,
There.
okay. Thought we, was this one that might require?
This was the one in the, oh, sorry. That's from the agenda.
So,
Yeah, I thought we mixed this one because it was gonna require pumping.
Yeah, it says likely, who needs this? Okay, on top, sorry. It says likely needs a private pump. Sorry. Well, this one, I think Antonio's right. I think that this one might be too much of a lift. But I don't recall our conversation, it's been so long. If we said, hey, we can ask them if they want to install a private pump.
I think the private line was so complex, crossing multiple properties and the pumping that I know we nixed it.
Okay, so this
This is next.
is not on the table.
Okay.
So from here forward, the project number is one higher than.
Yeah, so I'll go by name, Cedar Road. Okay. So, yeah, so this is a fairly simple project. There'll be a 2-inch water line to get to the property. Their raw water line, if I remember correctly, crosses multiple properties, is really long. It goes up to the Shaw's Flat pipeline, which is on the right side of your page, to the east. So, I haven't talked to this person, if I remember right. I can look to see, but
So you help me out here. Where are we?
okay, so on the bottom left of your page, you see that all the little lots, that's Sonora Hills.
Oh, thank you. Okay, all
Yeah.
right.
And you can barely see the words green water treatment plant, so, yeah, and, the line that you see coming down Chaparral, that's the Shaw's Flat pipeline, right? There?
Yeah, Avalon is the building outlined in the upper sort of left area.
Yeah,
Oh, up here.
Yes.
Oh, now I get it. Okay, thank you.
yeah, so, but yeah, fairly simple project as compared to a couple of the other two we've looked at.
So the actual ditch one, it's up Cedar Road. The rock,
Well, Cedar and then you take Chaparral up.
okay.
Boy, that air pressure is all over the place.
Yeah, we need to turn that thing off. It's getting distracting.
Okay,
So,
so what's the, so this project is to take the main coming from the south heading north, I'm assuming north is at the top of the page.
Correct.
And creating, is that install 140?
Yep.
Feet,
Just 2-inch.
and then, so this is one ditch domestic there,
right,
okay. And they're okay with,
I don't have notes on it if I've talked to them yet, so, I didn't get a hold of everybody, so, but I will eventually, so.
But they're gonna maybe have to put in a pump in, huh?
Right. I mean, I think my guess is that we would try to incorporate that into the grant, because the grant said they would do all the private side, so the hope is that they will try to put that in there.
yeah, that would be good to find out before you write the letter
Right, yeah.
to them, at least,
Chaparral feed this or the community center feed this area?
okay.
Yeah, community does, when it's higher than gonna.
Okay, so we'll go on to the next one.
Oh, that's up there, okay.
On Damon Road?
Okay, so this one's come up quite a bit over the years, even during my time, so we would be, you have this Paris Ferry Village is that Habitat for Humanity development, right there at the intersection of Damon and Parents Ferry Road. And so we would be connecting to an existing water main that Habitat Development installed, extending it another 900 feet or so. And then we would be stopping and running a private line to the last property there at 11315. And then we'd also be serving one other customer. I have spoken to these two people, and yeah, they're definitely interested. And I don't think pressure is an issue here. We do need to get permission from at least one person though, as far as the private water line goes, according to my agreement there.
And then, the state would pay for that, blue dotted line?
Right,
Okay, so state pays for that and state pays for, the 920
Yep.
feet?
correct,
Okay, they paid for the paving?
yes,
Just checking.
And I guess there'll be a fire hydrant there too.
yes.
I think Eric said in most of these, there's at least one fire hydrant / blow off.
Yeah,
For
for
maintenance
most
purposes.
unless it's like a 2-inch line or there's already a fire hydrant really close by.
That's gotta make those people really happy.
Yeah, we definitely talk about the fire hydrant because it also, most of these people, if you're domestic, you're probably far away from treated water, which means you're probably far away from a hydrant, which
Yeah.
means your insurance is either non-existent or high, so.
Right.
And so, yeah, for multiple reasons, I bring that up, it certainly is appealing to people.
And as we know in this area, I mean, because we do have ditch domestics or we have ditch customers, on the opposite side of Parrots Ferry as well, those lines are a real mystery in there. There people, don't even know when their line is being moved. I think, the Melanek, rearranged things and, or may have, but anyway, one of those Melanek-like places have moved them around, especially in front of, the GM Hotel. It's been reconfigured. Very, very difficult to actually get their water. Okay. All right, next one.
Is it possible for us to get a copy of that map that shows the sphere of influence?
Am I familiar with this map?
Well, if it's the one you were saying was a part of the municipal service review, the MSR, that's part of the board agenda packet.
2013?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
It was the last page of a bunch of pages.
Okay, yes, I think I know what you're talking about.
I think it was even in color, I don't recall now.
Yeah, well, we can find it.
Okay.
What size plot or?
You want us to, for this meeting or just?
Well, it'd be nice if we had it because
Give me a few minutes.
Barbara keeps
Yeah. let me get-
asking about it, and if she had it right there in front of her, she could see
Yeah,
it.
let me-
No, I only asked for it with because of the rattle wrench, Ron, and it was not TD's sphere, it was the county's that I was concerned about.
I don't, okay, wait, no, I guess we don't need it.
Well, okay,
Oh,
I mean, I don't need it,
curious now.
thank you.
Okay, so Kennebec Lane, is that what we're all on?
Yep.
Okay, so, this is we're gonna extend a 6-inch water main, hydrant will be at the end, here are the 3 water meters. This one will be, serving 3 people, all of which are, I would say, on the ecstatic side of this, as far as emotionally, so. A couple of them, like Chris Link, he's asked multiple times, we've tried this, several times. Again, this is one of those situations where I think if we can get all the money, it's gonna make it, it's gonna make this whole thing a possibility. Some people have had a hard time coming up with, past iterations of this project. The property owners had to come up with, significant amount of money for themselves, and it, in some cases, the project died because they just couldn't get people to participate financially, they weren't able to, so.
Those last two were this original San Diego conveyance, right?
Mhm.
So,
So where's the ditch here?
Right there, on the kind of left side of the page a little bit, right in the middle is the San Diego ditch.
Just to the left of the red line.
You're on the right. You're not, you're on Kennebec.
You're on Yankee Hill, so
There's,
The one along now?
yeah,
Oh, well, that would, okay, did I skip one? I did, I skipped one. Okay, no,
you went two pages.
Stuck together.
Okay. Now, okay. All right, I'm good, it's there, it's obvious. Yeah, you guys are probably going, what? Okay, thank you. Yep.
So, yeah, we have, private water lines on this one, that'll cross people's properties, but, in the conversations, they've been through this, several times. And so they all kind of know that
Mhm.
they'll have a private line, easements will need to be worked out, so, again, I think if we can get the grant, that's gonna be the key for all this particular one, so. But, yeah, definitely excited people.
Those other properties either have wells or whatever, is that why they're not included?
Yep, presumably they have a well.
Have they been, I guess they've been contacted.
We haven't contacted anyone other than the ditch domestics here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we will as time goes on, there'll probably be some sort of public
What do
notice.
these stand for?
That's a treated water customer.
Oh, so those are treated water customers.
So the blue Ws are.
If that's what you're asking about.
No, I'm asking about, this guy here. This guy here,
Okay.
and so on.
Yeah, if they don't have a blue W, then it's either vacant property or they have a well.
Oh,
What if they have a W and a D? Oh, so they have a water and a ditch connection. Okay.
If they have two, then presumably two Ws, presumably they have two accounts.
So is it, just so I know reference, because I walk this ditch area, because it does go up to the college, I believe. Is the Serdor property in here? Do you, Old Orchard and, downslope from the ditch? Just curious, it's okay. I was just trying to really dial in
So
on
I
this.
think that would have been, I can't remember the last name. I believe it's would be down on the south end of things.
Okay, I think new people bought it, put a
Yeah.
big house there. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay. Well, number 8?
Yankee Hill.
Yankee Hill, so, so this is near kind of Rainy Road, Melon Patch Lane. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those roads off of Yankee Hill. This project is a fairly simple project. About 10, 11, 12, 13 years ago, maybe, we put a water main down Yankee Hill Road to intertie the Big Hill and Columbia systems. That's the water main that you see in Yankee Hill Road. So we're just gonna, this project is just a matter of putting a 1-inch service lateral off of the existing main to the property line and connecting it to the house. Fairly straightforward. Don't know, the ditch is this straight blue line on towards the right side of the page. That's the raw water line right there. It's piped across Yankee Hill. I don't know how this property
Oh.
connects.
This comes off the siphon? Okay, all right, got it, yeah. Right, and then it's open as it goes into the college. Okay.
Yeah.
So one person there.
Yep.
Okay.
It's an easy one.
Okay. But this is like a test, do you know where
Yeah.
you are in the county?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, that's why we try to do the vicinity map to help a little bit.
yeah,
Now suddenly we're up and walk and go.
I actually tried to do a little sort of number thing, not direct, but. Okay, so again, there is a water main in Joaquin Gully that's already existing, a treated water main. So we would, again, just be doing a 1-inch service lateral from the main to the property. I do not know if I've talked to this person, let's see, license. I've not talked to them, they're on the bottom of my list, so I haven't gotten to them yet, so. The ditch is just to the southeast of their property, so presumably they pull right off of that.
is this isn't Roaches yet, is it?
No, this is up in Twinehart.
It's up in Twinehart, okay.
Yeah, so still section 4, I think, right?
This will be fed from the Lakewood.
Okay, thanks,
Lakewood?
it's actually
Yeah.
like First Avenue, where's that? The only place I could think of is, either Jamestown or Twelve, so, but this is
First
Twinehart?
Avenue,
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
this is
Oh, I'm
Twinehart.
on-
We were on Walking
Dang.
Road. We should, I'm sorry. I'll tell you the name of the title of it.
There we go. God darn, I guess the pages are sticking together or something, so sorry about that.
But you do know your way around the county, so.
I don't have to make myself look foolish, yeah. Okay, now I know where we are, thanks.
Down from Sierra Pines.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's just straightforward.
Now, we are going to the roads.
Okay, I'm gonna make sure my pages
Well,
are.
actually, you leak it for it.
Yeah, it is still really good upstream.
First Avenue. Dwelling.
Okay. So, this project, so the water main in First Avenue is low pressure. So I think we're saying they're gonna need a pump, right?
It says Maine.
Yeah, well, they're gonna have about 40 PSI at the,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that they ended the water main, at around 40 PSI, so the meter has plenty of pressure, but once it gets to the houses, it starts to drop off because it's going uphill, so they probably will need a private pump. And probably need a letter from the intervening property owner for the private water line. This person, was one of those people that was not excited about the project, not because, I think it was money, just didn't like us, TUD, and things like that, so.
So they opted out?
I kind of had the conversation, I'm still going to, send a letter probably, and unless someone tells me otherwise, offering them, if the board approves us seeking the grant funds, then I will probably send a letter to them, letting them know.
We might wanna dive into this one a little bit deeper and do a mainline extension. I don't know if we'll have to do a pump because there's some well failures up here.
Well, and Mueller, if Mueller comes in, I'm sure he will backfeed this with a different pressure and then they won't need a pump, then, yeah, and we'll be able to drive it up to where you're talking about.
What bearing, so what does that mean here? Is this?
I think, Antonio, would you still send the letter, and if the board approved this, we would still send the letter, and we would say, we're seeking a grant that pays for all of your costs. Now you have all the information you need to make an educated decision on whether or not you want to participate in the project. And then establish some sort of deadline for them to tell us yes or no. But at this point, when you did your outreach, you weren't sure, I don't think, you told them that all the costs would be covered or wouldn't be covered, so they probably didn't have all the information.
So when you talk about what Eric was talking about tying in to this, it's not gonna affect this.
Well, I kind of took what you said to mean that maybe we might do a little bit more of extend the main and put the meter closer to the property.
Yeah.
So that's taken care of.
And I meant extend the main up First Avenue.
Right.
Just keep going
Yeah,
up.
so we might adjust the map and change the project scope a little bit.
So would you then make a 1 inch, let's say, go up to the property corner?
Or 6 inch or an 8 inch go up to the property corner.
Well,
How far?
I think you would loop it well, too, yeah.
Oh, it would be,
You would still do 1 inch there, I mean, your main line would just come up into here. And end there, and then you would just do 1 inch from there, so.
Yeah, I think the grant would only cover probably the
Up to the-
extension from, probably only cover up to the property corner.
that's what I'm, yeah,
And then a 1 inch like Eric was describing, but
Okay.
if there are well failures up here, we may want to look at making that main go farther, or at least leaving a stub so that it could be extended.
so you can actually justify it in this grant to have, instead of the dotted line, have the main line extended right to there.
Right.
So that's another, I don't know, I'm just guessing from or something or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's that far, let's see, Yeah,
Probably
a couple hundred
like
feet.
200, I think it's about 200 feet.
Yeah.
Okay,
Looks like that.
and then, so that would then reduce their, private water line installation by a couple hundred. And they're the only ones here that have wanted GD.
Yeah, they're the only domestic that I saw. That doesn't mean that there won't be other people who might wanna at least, at least put a stub in for future use potentially, but there may be some that actually wanna connect.
So the Blue W's to the east of the private installation, they're both, the E60 and E72, for an example, those are both TUDM domestics? Or is that well? Is that
They're,
well?
they're treated water and irrigation water, TUD, raw water for irrigation.
Okay, well, what, and then plus treated water, correct?
Yes.
So where are they getting that from?
The raw water,
No, the treated?
probably, well, somewhere off of First Avenue, the map doesn't show every single, because she's talking about this one here, right?
I see it.
I see the private water line.
E60, we've got two E60s,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think you were referring to the E60 and the E75, yeah, those.
Base map
Yeah.
change.
Yeah, we gotta mark that up.
Okay, just making sense of it. And then what's the ditch here? Is this, is it,
Eureka?
is it Eureka at this point? Okay. Okay.
And then Karen Richards next. Okay. So, this would be, let's see, it goes in a 6-inch water main up to, my house. The main would be about 300 feet. I think Kevin and I actually drove this one, so this is a pretty decent road to get up to, if I remember right. And there is one domestic there. Let's see if I call them. I think this might be off. Yeah, I don't think I've called them yet. So I don't know, I do have a history, I think we tried to connect them during the drought, because there was a drought, there was a well failure, and, starting to remember slowly here. We were trying to connect this the same time as we were going to try to get, drought funding to extend the water main for a drought failure, or well failure, so, but none of that happened, and so this person likely still would want to connect. But I haven't talked to them yet.
And it's the same owner?
Yep. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question, where is it currently gravity fed down to this individual, the ditch?
It likely is. It's way up there, yeah.
It's a long way, That's this one.
Okay,
It's way up there.
okay, so this one, you don't know, but if the board approves, they're covered. And they're calling.
I will definitely be calling them. Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna just, start. I'm going to call everyone before, before we go to the board. I just didn't in this case because we didn't have the time, I think, before the first board meeting, so.
Okay.
But
I've talked to those people before, they'd be excited for PPL.
And I think, if I remember right, it's been some time, I think I called everybody, but I didn't get answers from everybody. And then I didn't call Persist because we were coming to committee, so I wanted to. Okay, so Timber Drive, I called these people, yeah, I haven't talked to any of these people yet either. So this one, a fairly long water main, again, about just under 1,000 feet. 6-inch, serving 3 people. There'll be a hydrant at the end. And let's see here.
I think, so it's supposed to be a little ditch way down here in the lower right-hand corner. Is this where their services come off of?
Yeah, up at the ditch, yeah.
Okay, and then does it flow up above their property? I mean,
Yeah,
Like if it flows,
we understand,
if
yeah,
it flows that way.
yeah,
Yeah, or it flows that way, but the
Yeah,
ditch
flow- yeah.
continues to run, sorry.
yeah, yeah, wondering the relationship between here and these guys, so it's downhill flow off of this.
Elevation wise,
Yes.
Yeah,
is it a pretty good elevation change between the ditch and those people?
Yes, they're up above the treatment plant.
But down to the house, yeah, they've got good pressure.
It's
Couple
way,
hundred feet
Yeah.
even,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
okay, so these, obviously they're downhill then.
Yes.
Okay.
extremely down.
And then this other one is just a vacant piece of property, that 67110001. Without the closed yellow around
Yeah,
it.
right. I don't know if it's vacant. All I know is they're non-ditch domestic.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
during the project, I'm sure Kevin, we usually get approached, and if there's an opportunity, whenever we're doing a project like this, if we see the opportunity, like there's a parcel right there that's vacant, we'll make it a quad as opposed to a triple sometimes, or at least leave a T there so that it's easy to add that onto it. So,
okay. Well, that's it.
Living projects.
So question, and it might be on the sheet here, what is the total amount of pipe that's gonna be requested in the grant?
we might have to add it all up. I don't know if I tracked it, that way. I mean, personally, I don't think I did. Unless it's in the cost estimate.
Is that something that doesn't have to be in the grant?
The total cost, and yeah, we will include that in the grant. Yes, we will tell them how many feet of 6-inch pipe, how many feet of 2-inch, how many feet of 1-inch. I don't know though if we have it calculated that way, but we can.
Well, it's easy to add up, I
We
just,
can.
looking at, cause it's gonna be, a mile or more, really, just ballparking.
Yes, yeah, on a cumulative basis, it might be, yeah.
So, this grant will pay 100% of this.
Yes, that's what I've been told. On the consumer side and our construction costs as well.
And planning dollars, secret dollars will cover.
SEQA, we filed a SEQA notice of exemption. Filed it with County Development Department and the State Clearinghouse already. Just, okay, get ready.
We viewed each individual project as its own distinct location. And they aren't interconnected, they're so scattered throughout. And so if you look at them as one project with 13 different sites, or 12, because then, yes, it may be more than a mile of pipeline in a roadway. And so it wouldn't necessarily qualify as an exempt project, but because we view each of these as separate projects with their own unique issues, they're each individually, they will be, exempt.
And for the most part, they're within the zone of existing effects. Yeah.
Exactly.
So what is TUD, are they covering, is this grant covering staff time?
Including construction, labor as well.
Okay, so like today, they'll include today, planning?
They probably won't include, Cindy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they'll include today, because usually, what they do is, you submit the application and the environmental and everything, and they give you a date, from which all, expenses are eligible for reimbursement after that fact, and I don't know that they'll retroactively
Okay,
come back to today.
once it's awarded.
Right.
That's sort of the clock starts to a certain, yeah, they're only gonna go back so far.
Right.
Yeah.
They will cover our cost to, do the grant application, and things like that.
That's really great. Do we get points for being disadvantaged community?
I'm sure we do. I
Yeah,
don't know if all these locations qualify.
I think Cole County Oh, yeah, it depends on what map you
Chemicals,
look
yeah,
at.
and how, yeah, things are changing in that regard. They are some of the funding entities.
Okay, yeah. Well, what do you think, Ron?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone involved in this for putting together some really good information. I mean, makes it easy to see what's going on. I think that this is a real opportunity for TUD. That's what I think. Because this is coming one way or another, and I'd rather it be through a grant than have the ratepayers have to pay for it.
Yeah, well, you know, I know this isn't one extra step for you guys, but I think I really appreciate this opportunity to bring it up committee, really kick it around, ask these questions. And I have 5 of us ask a whole bunch of questions. I think it just goes a little smoother if it comes out of a committee. I'm prepared now to recommend this, and I know he is, and he's been recommending it along, but this is just, it is really helpful, and I appreciate the background and the ability to ask questions and work, you know, see what April's doing, and Cindy. Yeah, and just, it's on the books as coming out of committee is recommended. Yeah.
What about, getting off subject slightly, but it's all related. What about where we're gonna go with water quality in the ditches?
Maybe have a different committee devoted to that? Committee meeting?
Either that or just, yeah, I guess that's what it would take, or, you know, what is gonna be the program, the thrust of the staff to try and get that rectified, straightened out.
To some degree that we can have
Yeah.
control of.
Yeah,
I think it will be a fun, interesting conversation to have, because there's an awful lot of knowledge, I think, that comes naturally to those of us who've been around working with the ditches all these years and as compared to others. So this should be a good conversation to have.
I think
think
that
There's some, contaminants in the ditch that we were just outside of our control, right? The 9 atmospheric rivers we had last year caused all kinds of havoc to our ditches, out of our control. And our non-man caused, right? And there's others, like what's going on there at Warren Creek, that is potentially man caused. So those are the ones I think that are more important to us than the others.
But also I think that like maybe Sean Hembry should be invited to something like that, and also should go before the Tuolumne County Natural Resources Committee and get those people finally to the table.
Well, especially, yeah, if water quality is a board direction, and we're kind of hamstrung because our system is going through areas that have contaminants. I think it's, I thought about bringing that up, adding that agenda item, but, this is a good discussion to just dedicate to this. And that, hold everybody hostage for an hour on the other one, but, or more. But I know that was part of our discussion with this going back to committee to talk about the larger issues of water quality and encouraging people to go on irrigation water if they have irrigation needs, and take a look at revising any policy. It'd be good to actually have a ditch committee meeting that talks about that, like Ron said. So I'll talk with President Kearns about that.
Okay.
All right, well, any further discussion? All right, then I will close the ditch committee meeting at 9:40.
What are we gonna bring before the board? Is that already
Recommendation?
decided? We are gonna recommend that we're gonna, okay.
Mhm.
I didn't hear it
Approve it.
said
Oh, I thought,
exactly that way,
oh,
but-
okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very good. Appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we both have